Southwest High School District Board of Trustees for Monday, April 3rd, 2023 at 7 p.m. We'll do the roll call showing that all 5 elected board members are here and both student board members are here. Welcome. Let me ask you, please, to rise and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic against one nation, under God, indivisible, and with justice for all. We all have the agenda before us. We have a motion to approve that agenda.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Catherine, seconded by Peter. Any discussion? Student board members, you have an opinion on that? Let's start with you, Ava.
I approve.
Approve?
I approve.
Thank you, Sadie. Okay, board member, favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. The agenda is approved. There was no action taken in closed session, so there's nothing to report. We are now up to the recognitions and resolutions portion, and we have some exciting things tonight. First of which is our spotlight. Mountain View High School boys varsity soccer team and Trojan. Nellie, take it away.
I will, thank you. The Spotlight Award is a community award that we typically give to a single person or an entity who has gone above and beyond and has done quite a bit to support the spirit and momentum of our thriving community. This year, unusually, we have a larger group to recognize, but this is a very unusual and noteworthy situation. So a little bit about our 2022-23 boys varsity soccer team. Boys varsity soccer team, in case you didn't know, at Mountain View High School captured the CCS Open Division Soccer Championship for the first time in school history. Grit, determination, and teamwork displayed all season came together when they defeated number 2 seed, probably of a rival, St. Francis, in double overtime, propelling them on to defeat number 3 seed, Sacred Heart Prep, in the semifinals, and the number 1 seed, Alisal, in the finals. The team was led by Coach Jim McGurk, who captured his first CCS championship, along with collecting his 300th career win earlier in the season. Recognize you, and we would ask if Coach McGurk or whomever you would also like to bring up would please come up to the podium. Congratulations. And I don't know who would like to hold.
Well, thanks for having us. It's a great group of guys behind me here. Maybe it's ones that don't have homework though, I'm not sure, but a lot of the other guys have soccer practice tonight. They're still busy. These guys play soccer all year long. They did a great job of representing our school and our community and our district this year. Most proud of their efforts, their sportsmanship, and their grace on the field. They've been fun to coach. Gonna miss the seniors a lot. This is Brian Kim and Eduardo Caballero. They're the 2 captains. And for the winning goal in the championship games. Yeah, the other guys had something to do with it too. So it's as you can tell, it's a great group of guys. They liked each other, a lot of fun to coach, and it was a really good year. We actually played a couple more games after CCS. We went to the Northern California playoffs and one game in those playoffs, and then went down to Clovis and lost in the semifinal to North Cal. So it's a pretty great season. Is there anything else to say, guys? Thanks for having us. Really proud of these guys. It's good. Thank you.
Especially when
Yes.
question.
I know.
Start with the captain. So I'll ask the captain. So Is there any special play that you'd like to let us know about that happened maybe in the finals or something that maybe your final goal, or is there anything else about it?
Okay, so it was 0-0 for a majority of the game, and then in the second half, we had had a crazy run through the middle of the field and one was a penalty. And actually, when Liam got knocked down, we all knew it was a penalty. And Eduardo comes up to me and he's like, "Are you confident?" And like asking me if I was going to take. I was not confident. I just wanted it. So I just grabbed it. And as soon as I put the ball down, it was kind of quiet, and I knew I was going to score. But I was definitely not confident when he asked. It was probably one of the peak moments of my high school career, and hopefully, like winning this will set the momentum for the players, the sophomores, the juniors for next year.
The spirit was great. I mean, we had so many fans at the home games here. Thanks for the lights, by the way, they help a lot. And then the final game we played at Santa Clara University Stadium. Just a lot of students there, a lot of families. These guys did a great job representing.
So what do you think contributed to your success this year?
Well, I think for CCS, I think how they went in like with something to prove, and also I think no matter what, like we just played with nothing to lose, and I think that's what helped us win CCS.
I have a personal question. I see you're wearing a Caltech. Are you going to Caltech?
Yes, I committed to play D3. So.
Okay, my husband went there, so.
I might add to that, Ryan's answer there. Our defense gave up no goals in the 3 games. You know, our defense and our goalie partner line is that's big.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Okay. Resolution 22/23/36, recognizing and celebrating National Bilingual Multilingual Learner Advocacy Month. April.
Yes, thank you. I bring before you a resolution recognizing National Bilingual Multilingual Learner Advocacy Month. And the resolution is as follows. Whereas Mountain View Los Altos High School District takes pride in joining educational institutions throughout the country, recognizing April 2023 as National Bilingual Multilingual Learner Advocacy Month. And whereas National Bilingual Multilingual Learner Advocacy Month recognizes that these learners are one of the fastest growing student populations in U.S. schools, and that this population contributes multiple assets to schools and adds to the rich diversity among students. And whereas 7.2% of students enrolled in Mountain View Los Altos High School District are categorized as English learners, and approximately 25.5% are fluent English proficient students. And whereas National Bilingual Multilingual Learner Advocacy Month calls on stakeholders at all levels to examine the diverse needs of bilingual multilingual learners and to build an inclusive and respectful culture, and recognize that this is an additive. And now therefore be it resolved that Mountain View Los Altos High School District Board by adopt this resolution, honor this month, and recognize the significant impact bilingual and multilingual education has on.
I have a motion to adopt the resolution as presented.
Move. /23/36.
Thank you, Sanjay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Catherine. Thank you, Catherine. Okay, student board members, let's start with you, Sadie.
I approve. I approve.
Thank you both. Board members, any discussion? Let's vote. All in aye, motion carries 5-0. Board member reports. Does any board member have a report that they would like to make? No board member reports. Thank you. Student board member reports. Let's start with Sadie.
All right, thank you so much. And at LHS, we've been doing a lot recently. We just finished up our Clash of the Clashes Spirit Week. We had activities like mystery bucket, flag football, musical chairs, craft football, and more. It culminated in a night rally on Friday where ASB ran games.
Could you speak up?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm used to the mic. We had Clash of the Clashes last week. We had a variety of games and it culminated with a night rally. And though the scores were a little bit disputed, I think that the junior class won. We also had the color run last Saturday, which is a fundraiser for athletics. And other clubs and teams were able to sell food and different activities like face paint and temporary tattoos. It was a really, really well-run event, and it's a super, super fun event that we put on every year. In addition, ASB and SEL are starting to sell their Eagle cards. This is a fundraiser that we hold every year to finance all of our events and some of the athletics for our upcoming year. And if anyone is interested in purchasing one, you can talk to any ASB or SELer or in the finance office. In addition, for ASB news, we just held our ASB elections and voting will continue until tomorrow. The results will be out this Friday, and I hope to win my re-election for ASB secretary and continue being the board representative for all of you. And finally, we have Diversity Week kicking off this week. It kicked off today with the Diversity Rally, with performances celebrating students' cultural backgrounds, with performances from LSU, ISA, and more. Tuesday will be Gender and Sexuality Awareness Day. Wednesday will be Political Diversity Day. Thursday will be Career Diversity Day, and Friday will culminate with a cultural food fair. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Sadie? Sadie, if you're selling ASB cards, we're usually a soft touch.
Good to know.
Okay.
Yes, so we have had a lot going on at Mountain View High School recently. One of the biggest things that had happened is we had our Latinx Awards night sometime last week. So it was nice to honor those students on campus for being meaningful to our school. We also held our blood drive last Friday, which was run through ASB. We were having some issues with turnout in previous occasions of blood drives. So this time we provided in and out, which was a big hit. Yeah, so that was an incentive for a lot of our students and staff and parents of Mountain View students to come and donate blood for Stanford Blood Drive. Our Science Olympiad team won first place at the Santa Clara County Science Olympiad Regionals, and they're going on to Houston, I believe. So they've been very successful. We also had our athlete signing day about a week and a half ago for all of our senior commits, including Brian, who's the boys soccer team captain. Our ambassadors about 2.5 weeks ago held the Out of the Darkness event, their walk, which is for mental health awareness and suicide prevention month. And it was well attended and very necessary and meaningful to our campus. ASB also held their March Madness tournament for the basketball season, which was also very well attended. And then coming up, we have spring break next week, which I know a lot of our students are looking forward to rest up. And after that, we have a couple of events like Battle of the Classes, which will be the week after spring break. And then we also have our prom, which will be May 13th, and that is going to be at Great America. So a lot of our students are excited about that venue.
Okay, thank you. And any questions? All right, then let's move on with our students of the month. Ava, you want to take it first?
Mountain View High School is proud to recognize Chelsea Izaguirre Mendocilla as our March 2023 Student of the Month. Chelsea is a junior at Mountain View High School. Inside of school, she is a 2-year participant of Dance Spectrum and is a part of the dance club. She also participates in Spartan Buddies Club, which facilitates connections between our traditional and special day class students. Through her vocational class, she volunteers 4 days a week at the Veterans Hospital in Palo Alto. And through her class, Chelsea works as a lead barista in the Spartan Cafe, delivers fresh beverages to staff on campus. Her favorite classes include jazz dance, English, and vocational. Chelsea's teachers describe her as resilient, hardworking, independent, responsible, and honest. They highlight how she consistently displays a positive attitude and acts as a leader in the life skills community. Outside of school, Chelsea enjoys helping her family with daily chores, including assisting her mom at work and cooking dinner for her family. Her personal interests include dance, animals, music, and cosmetology. Congratulations on being selected Mountain View High School Student of the Month, Chelsea.
Chelsea, that's very, very impressive. We're all appreciative of your great work, and we look forward to hearing great things about you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very much.
Can we do a photo?
Any questions? Yes, absolutely.
Do we have a photo up?
There
There's
you
one.
go.
Congratulations. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Any comments?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Very good, very
Okay.
good.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. And Sadie, our next student.
Yeah, Emma, you want to come up here? All right. Los Altos High School is proud to recognize Benson as our March Student of the Month. It is a privilege to recognize her accomplishments throughout her time at Los Altos. Emma is one of the most interesting and energetic people you will meet on campus. Not only is she incredibly involved in every academic, artistic, and theatrical opportunity on campus, but she is the first one to get others involved as well. She is loved by both her classmates and her teachers, and when asked about her, they talk about her natural leadership skills and inclusive personality. Her favorite class is AP Bio. She loves learning about biology and genetics and how it can benefit life. In addition to her work in AP Bio, she continues her interest in biology in ASI next year. Going into AP Bio, she knew she liked macrobiology, but was kind of worried about genetics and microbiology. However, with her ASI application pending, she hopes to study microbiology in the form of retroviruses and their connections to diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, and multiple sclerosis. After high school, she hopes to major in biology in college and become a marine veterinarian. Emma is also very involved with her synagogue. Since her freshman year, she's been a student teacher where she teaches students prayers and bar mitzvahs. She also is teaching herself Yiddish to connect with her heritage. Both her grandparents and her great-grandparents spoke Yiddish, and as a Jewish American, she thinks it's important that the language stays alive. And she's also teaching herself guitar. At the age of 5, she has loved learning to play piano, viola, and then cello. She loves learning music because it is such an integral part of her life, and as a very dedicated student, she loves using music as a creative outlet to de-stress from her busy work. Emma is also an avid thespian. As a member of Broken Box, Los Altos' on-campus theater group, Emma has been involved with 6 productions at Los Altos. As an actor and as a stage manager, she is a crucial part of the Broken Box family. She is loved by her castmates and has won awards such as Broken Box Royalty, Outstanding Achievement in Broken Box Theater, and for the production of Never Mind What Happened, How Did It End? In spring of 2022, she was awarded a Legacy Role. Some of her favorite experiences were playing in these different plays. Outside of LAHS, Emma is also involved with 2 other theatrical companies. I'm so sorry, my computer just made me sign up. Give me 1 second here. Oh gosh. Do you mind if I take the paper instead? This class is gonna be the death of us. All right, outside of school, Emma is also involved with 2 other theater companies, Upstage Theater and Hope's Musical Theater. In total, since her freshman year, Emma has performed or managed in 11 productions, in 11 productions. Emma is also passionate about giving back to the theater community, which has led her to be a counselor in training and a counselor at Hope's Musical Theater program in Palo Alto. As a counselor, she taught students choreography and music and managed children throughout the performances.
Congratulations, Emma Renson, for receiving the March Student of the Month and for all of the amazing contributions you made to our school.
What an impressive resume.
Thank you.
Are you sure you're not 30 years old?
I'm sure.
Wow, you have accomplished so much. This is astounding and seems like you do everything. Did you leave anything out in your career?
I don't think so.
If you did, it was by accident. I guarantee that. Do we have questions? Sanjay?
Yes, so tell me what, so I haven't heard of this, never mind what happened, how did it end? Can you tell me a little bit about that and also what the legacy room, I mean, it sounds like that's a pretty, what was that for?
So Nevermind What Happened, or we just call it Nevermind, is a show about 3 generations of women in, oh gosh, the 20s, 50s, and 70s. And so there was the grandmother, there was the mother who I played, and there was the daughter, and you see them throughout all these different time periods, and you see the different ways that they were raised and the different ways that they interact with one another. And really, at the end of the day, it's just a story about family and how that works. And a legacy robe is awarded to a member of a show, typically not a lead, who has done a lot community-wise, who, you know, learned their lines very quickly or just involved a lot of people. I won that legacy robe with someone else, which is not very common, but it was our director's last show. I won it with my dear friend Margot Johnson, who played the younger version of my character.
Thank you, that sounds like fantastic, you deserve it, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah, congratulations, Emma.
Thank you.
You are involved in so many things. I'm curious where you are looking to go to college and which of your many activities you hope to continue.
I would love to go somewhere northeast. Boston area would be amazing, Northeastern, Brandeis, something like that. I would love to do theater throughout college. Maybe not quite as much as I do it now, but I just think continuing that passion would be really nice. I hope to be able to find a dorm in which I can, you know, bring an instrument and play quietly. I can't imagine not doing that for 4 years. I would love to get even more involved with the Jewish community at college. Hopefully find other people who are learning Yiddish or speak Yiddish. Get involved with Hillel if the college that I go to has it. Just things like that.
Sorry.
Sounds like you'll be busy. Any other questions, Stephen?
Yeah, so I'm amazed you play a lot of instruments. I did want to make the comment that in my daughter's college, there's a practice room, so you don't have to bother other people. So that's nice. I think the power of instruments for stress relief and also fun. I just thought that, and you have so many diverse interests. I was involved in theater in high school, and I know it takes an incredible amount of time. So I'm amazed you're involved in so many other things. So my question is, how do you find the time to do this? I think a lot of people would like to know because you do so many things.
I think theater gets to be pretty easy just because we have a class at school that, you know, puts on 3 plays a year. So I get to dedicate some class time to that, which is really lovely. My synagogue, I only teach there once a week. It's not that time consuming. You know, instruments are just whenever I have the free time. I think my biggest piece of advice is do your homework on time and you'll be fine.
No, I'm curious because you have all these other interests, but then it says you're interested in being a marine veterinarian. So where does that come from?
Oh, I've always loved marine animals. I've known since I was maybe 4 or 5 that I wanted to be a veterinarian of some kind. And elementary school or middle school, I got much more, I became much more passionate about marine life and marine animals. And I realized I would love to be a veterinarian. I would love to help animals, but I don't want to, you know, sit in an office all day, sit in, you know, a clinic all day and treat house pets. I would love to work with these animals that I love so much. I mean, there's so many animals that
being a marine veterinarian would just give me the opportunity to see and to meet and to understand better. And I think I would be very fulfilled if I got to help out these animals.
You don't get seasick, do you?
No.
That's good. Okay, do you have family here?
I do.
Congratulations, Scripps Institute. All right. We're gonna. Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, moving on our agenda. Superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you. That's all very good group here. We had a similar. All these things and we're going to move.
Oh, yeah.
Like both.
I also have the privilege of having her in my English class, so I can tell you that she's passionate about literally every single subject on this earth.
There you go.
She's incredible.
Well, that's who you want doing your. All right, well, it has been such a busy time and it's so exciting. And so just some brief updates about some of the things that we've been doing. And this is a picture from Los Altos, and we have this young man who was working independently in the new building. And when I was visiting, I walked in, and Sanjay, you were there, walked in, and he goes, "No, there's nothing going on back here. We're just looking, go over there." And that just piqued my interest and made me want to go. And then finally I go, "Can I take a picture?" And what he's doing is making an electric guitar. And he also stated that everything in the room is at or above industry standard. He was really complimenting the machinery and the facilities, and he warmed up, let's just say. And very nice to see our students. And we talked a lot about this during our study session, the academic excellence that we saw from our teachers, the equity lens that we're applying, and how engaging our courses continue to be, and we saw it in action. And this is something I know we're still looking at the district goals, but what we have here is our most recent draft, and I believe the first one in particular is still having some debate, but I wanted to give you the overarching progress. The first, we're aligning curriculum and grading and increasing student engagement. Secondly, we're cultivating a respectful and caring school climate that promotes wellness, develops life skills. And oops, this is an old one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think these are old.
These are old. Okay, I solved that by scooting on through. Something fun. And thank you for moving with me. At Mountain View High School last week, we had the Latinx award ceremony, and they did such a good job of highlighting our students and in the awards. And thank you to Dr. Glazier and her team for creating the place to celebrate. I wanted to point out we have Esme, who was their keynote speaker, and Esmeralda spoke about her family, and it was just very moving in both Spanish and English. And you can see down below the picture, just kind of sharing the excitement of the conversation. And on the right, we have our student MCs who hosted the event beautifully, also in Spanish and English. I think I got. And then moving forward, you can see as well, here you have a picture of the students who received their awards. At the end, the beautiful decorations that they put up in celebration. And then also the dancing. We had costume changes and multiple dances, celebrating the culture and richness and diversity of Mountain View High School. And also wanted to just share next week, Los Altos High School or this week, excuse me, they are celebrating their Latinx award ceremony. And we look forward to also celebrating our students. Speaking of celebration on the right, that pretty much captures it. Just wanted you to point out that this particular magazine summarized a lot of the events that are going on, including some of the work around ethnic studies and some of the work around family partnership, as well as our student advisory group, which we're going to be starting up soon. I think we've had over 10,000 viewers so far reading. And then over the weekend, Los Altos had their color run, which is the spring version of the turkey trot. And there you have Michelle Noeth, the athletic director, and myself, and Eddie, the eagle, very friendly eagle. And Wynn Satterwhite was the photographer, so I must give credit there. And just a great time. Students very much enjoyed putting the chalk color all over us. And very, very fun time raising money for our athletic programs. And then Alta Vista continues their spirit and building that community. They've been having their Friday barbecues, which is a great addition. And not only does it increase attendance, but it really brings that family feel to Alta Vista. And I see they're eating outside, which is great. So thank you for that, Ms. Whipple. And then wanted to share, we are getting ready to start our student advisory council, and I cannot wait. This group will advise, provide feedback, and present viable solutions on district initiatives and programs. And it will also be facilitated by student members of the MVLA, Board of Education, Ava and Sadie, and then also it includes students from each school. So we are planning, I believe, a meeting this month, and then we're going to have something in kind of a panel to listen to some student questions and feedback in May. And then just last week, we had our final speaker series with Dr. Lisa Damore, and she shared on the emotional lives of teenagers. It was fantastic. She has 3 New York Times bestsellers, and her message was, as a clinical psychologist, that we need to support students by providing things that they can move towards that include health and activity, arts, music, all of the things that we heard our students were doing successfully, and that really it's important to make sure that they have activities that they can build their mental wellness. So that was her emphasis and focus. And with the Pat's house, it was so crowded, they had to move the venue. So it was a great evening. And then lastly, this is the first unveiling, if you will. We've been having a lot of conversations, both at the board meeting for the last year, at family partnership, in different venues. And this is a draft, and it was created by a student regarding our graduate profile. And you can see here the visual representation of conceptual understanding, critical learning, diverse collaborative relationships, building resilience, and contributing ethically and empathetically. And so we're going to continue to share this particular visual of the profile and hope that this is something that we can put in classrooms, we can have as a common platform, and then also something that incoming students and outgoing students can realize that this is something that we are going to guarantee they will receive. And so if you look at it a little bit, I went back and forth with the student on the brain. I thought it needed a little more definition, and she did a great job. And then finally, some important dates. As mentioned, spring break is coming, and that's next week, but we also have some Board of Trustees meetings, the 24th, 8th, 22nd, 5th, and 9th. Memorial Day holiday, and we're already planning and gearing up for our graduation ceremonies. It is going fast. The schools are very busy. Something is happening every night. And I know we got an adult ed graduation notice as well. And I'm looking at Julie, maybe pulled up numbers. It's in June as well. June 6th. So we'll make sure to get that invitation to all of you. And that concludes my
Very good. Any questions for Ellie on the superintendent report? Okay. Communications, I don't think we have any district organization representatives, so there will be none. Anybody wish to address the board on with a public comment on an item not on the agenda? And seeing none, we'll move to the consolidated motion. Peter, did you get your answer for the consolidated motion question? I think I saw an email to you.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, does anybody want to pull
In the
anything?
minutes, I'm fine.
Okay. Have a motion?
I move we approve the consolidated motion from 16.1 through 16.16.
Moved by Catherine, seconded by Peter. Good board members? Ava? Sadie?
I approve.
Thank you. Board members, if there's no discussion, let's go. All in favor? Aye, motion carries 5-0. The consolidated motion approved as presented. Business actions, the informational update on admin council.
Yes, over the last year, our Associate Superintendent Terry Fott of Educational Services has been coordinating, facilitating, and providing administrative. Spoken a lot about teacher professional team. So with that, we wanted to give a brief overview to all of you and to you. Oh, I got a squeaky shoe.
Good evening, everybody. So part of my role is overseeing professional learning and professional development. And as Dr. Meyer said, it extends far beyond just our teachers. We've been working this year with our counselors, classified, special education IAs, English language department IAs, really trying to have an expansive outreach to all personnel on this campus and providing them with the training and the learning that they need to continue to improve and strengthen their skills or just adjust to some new expectations. On Thursday of this past week, we had a district-wide educator leader training, and 60 leaders and department coordinators from across the district attended. It had great energy and really good conversations and strong requests for next steps, and them realizing that them being in a leadership position, they could utilize having some opportunities to learn the skills to lead the departments and the teams that they're leading. And so that doesn't make any exceptions to administrators as well, as needing to have opportunities to come together as an administrative team and learn together, problem solve together. And that's the administrative, what we call admin council. I will say it's a rendition or kind of a revamp from what existed prior, which was AP council or assistant principal council, where assistant principals came together with associate superintendent. Great conversations were had. One of the challenges that we saw with that is assistant principals came back to the sites and reported out to the principal. And sometimes there was not being able to be a part of those conversations and have weigh in, or maybe what the principal was leading at the site was a little bit different than the conversations in the room. And so there wasn't always a parallel. That coupled with coming back from a pandemic and having some new administrators on the team, there was just the understanding that, you know, we need to, one, rebuild some systems as we're
now post-pandemic. And two, we have a group of people that we need to work together to help strengthen ourselves as a team. And so that's where our admin council was established for this year. I floated the idea, and I just want to say thank you to Dr. Meyer for always being very supportive and helping not just to support ideas, but also refine and strengthen them. And so this year we had admin council. The purpose for this is really to create a place for a multi-pronged approach, really. One is professional learning, having opportunities to continue to learn and strengthen the skills that we need as administrators. Also, we come together to help refine systems that we have district-wide, allowing all administrators to be able to give feedback on what those strengthening of the systems are. And it also allows us time to build community. Being administrators, sometimes you don't have a whole lot of other administrators around to talk to and build community with and problem solve. And so having a place where you are with your counterpart or counterparts can be really helpful in resilience and keeping our team strong. The members of the admin council are well, they're all the administrators of the district. There have been times where there has been an admin council which was a little bit more specific to some administrators other than, and not all. And so in those cases, I reached out to some of the other administrators and let them know of the topic. They're always welcome to join, but if they had something that they really needed to tend to, then to please go ahead and tend to your urgent needs. But as you can see, our list is a complete list of all of our administrators. And we just had an admin council 2 weeks ago, and a week ago, excuse me, my time is a week ago, and the room is buzzing, the conversations are good, the feedback is strong, and a lot of good topics are being discussed. So what have we been discussing in admin council? So we've had roughly around 7 so far this year. We kicked it off with reviewing our evaluation process, as that's one of the most important items, urgent items to kick off the school year. We set some time to just review the forms, but equally as important, we talked about aligning how we evaluate and how we're rating or going through the evaluations. So our goal was, it doesn't matter if you have administrator X or administrator Y, you would have the same level and type of feedback and expectations. And just like we want our course teams to be aligned in how they grade and what they grade. So an A is an A and a C is a C, regardless of who your teacher is. That's only fair as well for our evaluation process with our administrators. We also did Title IX training, and the Title IX is the field of Title IX, and the expectations tends to change, not year to year, but there's changes that happen from president to president. There was a few small changes that happened over the summertime. The gap the change from Trump into Biden, there was just a little lag time, which tends to happen sometimes with presidency. And so we needed to bring back some Title IX trainers to just communicate what some of the small changes were with Title IX. We started to talk about our discipline procedures and aligning where we're putting our discipline in areas, but also, having discussions of what gets a 1-day suspension versus a 3 versus a 5. So that way we're aligning how we're disciplining and what we're giving certain disciplines to. And again, I just want to say that that's a very gray, fuzzy line. There's a lot of complexities, and it's usually not a very clear-cut black or white issue when it comes to supporting a student who has had some sort of challenge with the discipline area. And the last several meetings, it's really been focused around MTSS and really making sure that our administrators are clear and they understand the various tiers of intervention for mental health, social, emotional, behavior, attendance, and academics. But also these systems need to have some revamping or upgrades or even building new when it comes to data collection and monitoring. And so number 7, we also, to kick off hiring season, which is coming up soon, we also met together to talk about our hiring practice. We were infusing equity within this conversation and how are we equitable and trying to eliminate as much bias as possible in our interviews. And we took a look at the interview questions and to make sure that they were well-rounded and that we're not just evaluating silo-specific information, but also character, so that we're understanding, you know, is this, as an example, is the teacher really caring and compassionate about the students, and what are the kinds of questions that gets to characters like that example. And so finally, this is the first year, right? So if you think of a first year of anything, there's a lot of new, a lot of, we're doing this for the first time, and these sessions are an hour and a half. I usually go over, thank you everybody for sticking around for until an hour 45-ish, but you walk away from a training and you're like, oh man, we just scrape the top of the iceberg on this. We need more time to really learn and dive deep. And so I see these admin councils as a way to just continue to circle back on these topics and strengthen our work and strengthen our alignment on them, as a place to also come together and problem solve challenges that we may be seeing district wide. Maybe it's another topic within the discipline that's emerging. Maybe it's something about academic integrity. Maybe it's something else, but this is a place that we're all together. And so we created this platform to be able to not just be professional learning, but working together to talk about challenges that are surfacing in our schools that we need either by our ARs or by site mandates. And so lastly, I'll just once again like to thank the administration team, who is always showing up, being present and contributing and supporting one another. As you all know, the administration, the teachers, the various types of staff, we all need to work together to really be able to support our students. And part of that is being able to have the opportunities to strengthen and learn our own skills and craft over our time. And so thank you again, Dr. Meyer, for being able, for supporting the admin council for this year.
Thank you, everybody. Any questions for Terry Sanchez?
So, I have a total conflict, I guess. One is, alignment in terms of, incoming ninth graders.
Yeah.
In terms of requirements, placement, and all that. Is that discussed in this part of this council, or is that a separate?
No, you know, that's a really good question. In fact, we had a conversation at. So my department creates what we call transition data sheets, and it gives our partner districts the data of how they did on their SBAC for math and English, how they did in their math and English classes, what level of math and English that they had. It also includes attendance and demographics, and hopefully some critical information to help our administration understands who are the students that we're getting, and are there any students that we're seeing right away that we could be prepared in having some interventions or some skills as well. You know, did they sign up for the right math class? If they're in trigonometry, but they only took, let's say, math 7, we're like, oh, what happened in the course sign up there? So we did have some time to talk about that transition data. And also we have assistant principals that go to the sites and meet with counselors and one of the assistant principals at the middle school sites, and they talk about more personal confidential data, like student transitioning or students who has had some mental health challenges that we could also be aware of and be ready to provide that extra support. We all know freshman year is probably the most critical year in starting off and feeling comfortable and engaged in your classes. And so, yeah, your question was, did we have time to align? So we went around, we did a lot of brainstorming and conversations amongst the teams, and then we did a share out. And my job was then to take notes and start to create some district alignment on what we do with that data, while allowing some autonomy on how they use that data for their specific needs as well.
Any other questions, Steve?
Yes, so first of all, thank you. It sounds like you're doing a lot of great work. My question was more related to MTSS and what if you could delve a little bit more into what you're doing with that, because I know that's a really important topic among parents and the school.
Absolutely. So we spent 3 rounds with our admin council discussing MTSS. One of them was doing a deep dive into our mental health with MTSS and just making sure that all of our administration was aware of our robust offerings for our students at the tier 2 and tier 3 level. So if they needed anything from referral to care solace to maybe wraparound services with the CSA worker, we're implementing small group work instead of just going straight to the one-on-one counselor. So we made sure that we had everybody aware of how that whole system worked and got feedback. Another aspect is we took a look at our attendance. We have an attendance team this year. It was led by Perla Pasayo, and it has a variety of other administration, including Suzanne Woolfolk on that team. And so another one of our sessions was talking about our MTSS with attendance. So when does the student get flagged? What do we do when it gets flagged? When does it go up to tier 2? What are our resources that we're providing when it gets ramped up to tier 2? And what happens when it goes to 3, which means it's really intense, they're chronic, they're not coming to campuses all, and what are we doing? And from that, we've also seen that where are our needs that we need to strengthen the system, like what resources are we falling short with? We also then went into our social emotional learning as well as our academics, and we did a very similar process. Right now with the academics, we created a model of how a student gets flagged, because we want to try to catch our students who are academically struggling in classes before the quarter mid marks come out. And so who's helping to do that kind of monitoring when we do have a flag? Who checks in with the student? How often are they checking in with the student to determine, the student just needed some check-ins and a little bit of a boot to get going. So they're either, they go back to the green zone, or no, the student is continuing to struggle. And that leads to, either we ramp it up to an SAT, which means you pull together a team of teachers, because you're seeing that the student is really struggling across the board, or maybe they just need some more one-on-one check-in routinely with their counselor. And so I would say right now, the academic piece is the piece that we're now starting to laser focus on after we reviewed our other MTSS models with, again, the attendance, the discipline, the emotion, the mental health, and we're starting to refine that with what's our monitoring system, what's the data that we're using to determine when it starts and when the student goes back to that tier 1, and who are the people who are a part of all of this. That's one of our biggest challenges, is when you're creating or revising a system and you tap somebody on the shoulder saying, hey, you're going to be a part of this monitoring piece, making sure that they have that capacity to be able to do that with fidelity. As a lot of the literature that I've been reading, what falls short with the MTSS model is the implementation, the monitoring with fidelity piece. And so we want to make sure that we have that all set in place.
Thank you. That also gave me insight into how you're using data, which would have been my follow-up question, but I don't think this asked that.
And it was one of the reasons why we talked about the transition data for the 9th graders, because that's part of the MTSS model. Are you being prepared for that? And then one of the follow-ups that we have for our next meeting is in Aries. How are we using Aries for our teachers, for our staff? And we work with SCOE. They have a dashboard called Data Zone, and it draws directly from Aries, and it just puts everything so nicely into bar graphs. And so you can quickly see what students are in the red and the green zone for academics or social emotional or attendance. And so it really helps with that easy monitoring piece, rather than having to do queries and sort through all of the stuff in Aries student by student by student. So really trying to refine a system so that it's most efficient for our staff to help with that piece. Thank you.
Just one, thank you, Terry, for the update. And I think the great work around alignment that we've talked about outside of this meeting. And how often does the group meet?
I try to do it once a month or once every 4 or 5 weeks.
And then maybe to Sanjay's point, what other topics are on the horizon? In addition to, I know, MT.
For the admin council?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to use my opinion. I'll be using the rest of this year to really revise our MTSS and get that all in place. And that includes what goes where in areas and the monitoring and who does what. So then come fall, we have what we could say a strong MTSS model. We can hit the ground running, and then we can just use that to monitor to see how is it working now that we have a complete articulated model. So that'll be for the rest of this year. And then going in back into next year, I want to pull in the team and ask for their feedback. You know, what are areas that you feel you could really use some training or support? But off the cuff, circle back on Title IX. That was an area that several administrators said that they could use some more training with, as well as our students who are transitioning or transgender, and what that means as an administrator side in terms of, you know, bathrooms to sports to other items that we cover in the school. And another item that I heard from our administrators was support and investigation. So some training in how to lead a thorough and efficient investigation, and what does that mean to even do like an interview if you're the investigator for that incident.
Connects to Title IX beautifully.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, any further for?
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, moving along, the proposed 2023-24 salary schedule. So this is pretty much the automatic raise.
And it's already been approved.
It's already been approved.
This is training schedules,
It says action here, so we're just approving the full schedule,
the schedules.
just to be clear.
For everyone.
Okay. Any discussion of this?
I move that we approve the salary schedules. And that they do align with the negotiated raise we promised.
I second, because it was already negotiated.
Okay, so we've got a motion by Catherine, a second by Sheila. Any discussion? Student board members, Cindy,
I approve.
Ava,
I approve.
board members, let's vote. All in favor? Aye, motion carries 5-0. Revision of board policy 3555, nutrition program compliance, first reading.
Just briefly, as part of our continued upkeep of our board policies, we're bringing before you nutrition program where they have updated the language around compliance and more clearly outlined the process for any type of complaints. So this is a first reading. As you see it, if there's anything that you see that you find objectionable or you think should be added, please let us know, and we will bring it back to the next meeting.
Very good. Any questions? Beth?
I just had a quick question. So are business managers in charge of this sort of thing?
In charge of the policy or in charge of the actions?
Well, they would have been the one that would know whether we're in compliance or not, or they're the one that mostly follows it.
Yes, so they follow it, and an updated policy would be something that they would work from. And this just clearly shifts some of the language and really kind of expands the reporting around discrimination and updates the language around discrimination. So they're following it now, but this clarifies some specific instances.
I have a question. So this is basically based on federal law, and so it's
Correct.
basically it's just updating this document to fit with federal law.
Exactly.
Okay,
There was nothing to do because it's just information.
this is just information. Okay, so we'll send in our. Board district goals for 2023, 2028. Kelly, do you have a slide that we can look at?
No, I see this as the old goals.
Okay, so
Again.
can I just look at your, is there,
Yes, this does not have the updated goals that we
so
have.
I think we were pretty much at the point of agreement.
Mhm.
And I'm going to read what I believe we had in the final version that we have tried to cobble together based on everybody's comments.
And memory.
Right, well, yeah, so really, there were only two of these bullet points under discussion. So I want to do the first one. Aligning curriculum and grading systems with best practices. Now, here's the revision. For accomplishing the desired improvement and enhancing our excellence, our educational excellence. That responds to, I think, a comment one of you made, I think it was Catherine.
Yeah, you still have the student engagement in there, right?
Yeah, student engagement somehow got.
No, that's, so that's why I didn't read that.
Oh, you took that out and put in excellence instead?
Yeah, see, I really want student engagement. to
I
be
want
some
excellent and
goals.
engagement.
Yeah, so
What was that? So Sanjay, I think.
that's,
So you see, here's the problem with that. Suppose we have something that actually improves student performance. But it doesn't really seem to do much for engagement. Are we not to use that, even though it doesn't affect engagement in any way? So the engagement is part of the system for improving performance. Engaged students, we would hope, perform better academically. But it is, it is not a necessary condition for academic improvement. And it's not a sufficient condition. It is what is believed to be desirable for many students.
I would actually disagree with you on that. I think actually if you're not engaged, then you're not going to be learning.
What was that?
I actually think that the first step to actually learning is to be engaged in the classroom. You're just sitting there like, typing on your laptop
Well,
or.
suppose you're a student who doesn't participate in discussions. You're an introvert. You sit there and listen. But you learn everything very, very well. Are we to exclude this student because of his introverted personality?
I don't think student engagement is about your personality. I think it's about whether or not you feel a relationship with the teacher and the class.
They show no evidence of a relationship with the teacher. Absolutely zero. I know this from experience. My daughter was one of them.
Well, my daughter is also an introvert also, but she still engages with her teacher.
No, she engaged with the subject, not with the teacher.
Okay, well, that's still student
How are we
engagement.
going to measure that? The academic improvement we can measure. How are we going to measure student engagement for an introvert who doesn't engage?
By a student survey.
The student survey?
Yes.
And suppose the students just put down what they want you to hear. This is totally
That's true.
unreliable.
That's true for any.
So if more students say they self-engaged, we keep a policy that isn't improving academic performance, and we get rid of one that is.
I don't think it's an either or, and I think the way that you're phrasing things
But it
is
could be. The point is, what does,
I am uncomfortable with these either or scenarios. I don't think that's the way education works.
no, it's not an either or scenario.
If
It
you're presenting
is a possible scenario.
I don't deal with possible scenarios. What I'm looking at as someone who's
Okay, well, I think we're
critical.
going to have to check this.
I would like to hear the sentence the way you read it, though, because I don't have a copy of what you said.
What was your comment, Catherine?
I think actually student engagement does need to be in the goal somewhere, but maybe not in this one. For instance, I could see putting it at the bottom, the next one. cultivating respectful and caring school climate that promotes wellness, develops life skills, and
And
student engagement.
And that's actually what I originally proposed to Nellie, but then it wound up in the school. It's like,
Yeah, so and then I would take out the free of bullying, because bullying is an example, just like lots of other things. Suicide prevention and all different other things we do.
So I'm okay with that, Catherine. Is the
And
rest
then,
of the
but
board?
then read me the first one again. I still didn't hear how it
I think
turned
we
out.
need to see the goals, to be honest with you, Phil. I think we need to see it, because what I have in mind was the one, you know, you and I had a back and forth on, so that, which is, to me, it's reading a little bit different than what seems to be what was done here. So I think we just need to,
Here is different.
yeah, so I think I want to see it, so we.
So why don't we just move it on to next slide?
We can absolutely do
Yeah,
that.
let's do one more round on this. Good
One
idea.
more round, and I'm just
You know
double
what we're
checking against the latest.
Yeah. So that'll
And
be.
it looks like it is correct. This was our latest, but there's still a few nuances on the first bullet.
And the second.
the second one.
This is like, I think it's about three.
And we want to fix the second one too.
Iterations back.
Yeah, I'm looking, okay, so I will look for the latest I have.
Can I see this?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Theta and I are in agreement on this.
This is the latest.
This was the, yeah.
Should I think, yeah, so.
For the next meeting.
Okay, so that wasn't really the latest. I had changed that to,
Okay,
so this is before.
okay.
We'll get it straight, yeah.
All right.
Yes,
Nellie.
the language we have on that one was
Catherine.
aligning curriculum and grading
Yeah.
systems with best practices most likely to accomplish the desired improvement while increasing student engagement.
Except that you did like while increasing student
No,
engagement.
no. What I didn't like was so it was the way it was written before was that aligning curriculum, grading systems and best practices that are engaging accordingly. I don't like that, because again, to me, the part of it, it's the instruction needs to be engaging. I think that's, to me, that is not something that is not something we're about, right? It's about engagement we can talk about, but not about our practices that are going to be engaging. I don't think that's,
Yeah,
that's where I
that's
disagree with that part of it.
Yeah.
And
So
this.
that was
particular
the
one is
thing that we
engagement.
might, I think then we had written, or you had rewritten it, read what I read earlier, which is to accomplish the desired improvement while increasing student engagement. And that's what I thought we had agreed on.
And that's what is in the.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Okay, so then,
so if we make the distinction between engagement and engaging.
engaging, right? It's not about practicing. being
Oh,
engaging.
see, I was saying engagement, so now I understand. Because I was saying engagement, I never said engaging.
I'm sorry, Ms.
Totally different to me.
Yeah, it is.
That's what
Totally
Yeah.
engagement.
We can't hear you.
Increasing
Now,
student
now,
engagement.
now, it was like a vocabulary.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's.
A different meaning.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Totally different to me, and I totally agree with you, it's like, engaging is different than engagement,
Yes. right.
very different.
Um,
Yeah.
So are we gonna do this next time?
Yeah, we'll do this next time.
Always do this.
Yeah.
So we all
Get
see.
this
Because I want to see it
and share.
in writing and make sure that we're in
The one
agreement.
posted is the
Okay.
one that was.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's all for next time.
and it's the same. It's had quite a few iterations.
Okay, so there
It
is
keeps
no
improving.
beginning of closed session.
Okay.
Board suggestions for future board meeting reports. Well, we have to decide on what we're going to do with the ethnic study next. And I'm not even sure we got this. I would like to suggest that between now and whenever the next session is, there be a subcommittee of the board, 2 members, to work with the administration and the teachers, following the concerns of the community and discussing them and seeing how we could adjust what is in the units so that it doesn't seem so frightening, because when they explained it here, it sounds fine. But when you read it in black and white in the units, it looks not so good. So there's a disparity there, and I think something needs to be added, maybe modified a little, but so if you can have maybe Sanjay and me as board president and vice president, work with them and get back to you with informational updates through Nellie, so you know what's going on. We can make.
Oh, well, my problem with that is, I think people are taking the example lessons too literally, like you said, black and white, because those are examples of what you might give as a lesson.
So,
And we already
my
agreed that
understanding is they
the,
were actually used in class this year.
they were this year, some of them.
Now, that doesn't mean they will be going forward,
Exactly.
but the things going forward should reflect modifications that would be made and less alarming. And if you just keep the same stuff, people in next year who haven't seen any of this are going to react similarly.
So I have a question on how would we define who is sharing what they don't like? Just anyone who doesn't like.
Well, it's the people who are writing us.
So the people who are writing us would
Comments that would come.
comment. And the process we have of the study session does not provide that opportunity. for
No,
them.
because we couldn't even talk about, I mean, I
I think the
have a
time,
binder full of these things.
okay, the time was truncated. And if this were the first meeting of several, what I liked about it, I mean, it was I would say a good solid hour. Needs maybe 3 more. But I thought the comments were made, we could hear it, digest it. We're taking notes on what they could be and where we might adjust it. So I guess I'm asking, by our process as we have it, isn't something we could just continue.
Because I think if you do it this way, it will double or triple the amount of time before we get through all this stuff. I mean, as I said, I have a binder full of comments. I think Sanjay has a whole bunch. I don't know what the rest of you have.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Phil, you and Sanjay then would spend all that time. Then we'd have to come up to speed on it, and then we'd have to still spend some amount of time. And it seems to me, if we're all willing to spend that amount of time, we should all.
Well, the only thing I could suggest then is that we have another study session where we go through each one of the unit comments and just get them out there that way.
I think we already went through units 1 through 3.
No, we didn't. We went through an overview of 1 through 3.
What is it that you would want to do different?
I want to look at specific units and specific objectives that have been made to those units.
The individual slide sets that were used in the class. That what you're talking?
Yeah, specific, if you look at the actual files in the units,
Yeah.
the ones that.
I also feel like there's a disconnect because some of the things that they said, I didn't even read in the materials. Like
Well, that's the problem.
that I was like, I didn't read that, and I didn't read until I didn't read on Thursday, being
Well,
busy
that's what
with
Steve was
people.
talking about.
But so I didn't read this, target agent thing. I didn't see that in anything. So I'm sort of like,
Yeah.
where does that come from? I didn't see that in any of the documents I read, and I read all of them. So I think there's some misinformation out there. And I think maybe if we have time to actually sit and read what's there and think about it, and digest it, I think, because, adding in, I could see how confusing it would be to add things that they're researching, which may not reflect what they're actually working on. And so if that was a document that was in there, they were using as research, but it's gone now, then I totally get it. So I think, now that we have an accurate perspective, if they tell us this is it, this is what we have. Obviously, as with any class, you're gonna teach to a class and they may add other material, but this is the general gist of things, right? But I think I do take Sanjay's point that, if I had extra stuff and then they say, well, that's like not stuff we're using, I think it's confusing. And also, it sounds like some of it was based on material that they don't actually use. So, I think if you want to do one to three, I'm fine with doing it again. If you felt like you didn't have a chance to really read it, I totally get what you're saying, Sanjay. If you had extra stuff and you were like, some other school district stuff.
So I think, I think the main thing is that we want to make sure that we understand what is the curriculum, exactly the specifics of what is being taught, right? I'd like to understand. This ethnic studies, model curriculum that was created, right? Started a few years ago, I think 2018, so with the state. It's been controversial ever since, right? It's gone through many iterations, and even to this day, there are, we saw from the University of California, professors that are writing that they have some disagreements with it. So even to this day, there are concerns about it. So now, I've gone through, what the state has put together. I think for the most part, from what I've read, I think the teachers are putting together a curriculum that aligns with what the state is intended. I think overall it is. There are specifics that I think that I'd like to know that seem to be either maybe that could be refined in terms of what exactly is being done. Like one of the things I think about power that we discussed. Some of the topics is also, is there any stuff that's taken from the first draft of the curriculum? We don't know that. We need to figure out what those specifics are. So there are things that I think we do need to make sure that it is aligning with what the current draft of the curriculum is that we've had. We do need to confirm that. I think that's our responsibility to make sure that we do that. And so that's why I do think, yes, it's important for us to ask these questions.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying that it's not. I just think it's important for us to understand those details.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I actually think I wish that I could say, oh, you and Sanjay, you and Phil. Actually, the way I interpret the law is that the board is responsible for the curriculum. It's an unusual situation. Maybe you guys, I'm new, maybe you guys read lesson plans and critique them, but this is what the law has asked me to do. And I feel it's the entire board. It does not say like 2 board members, it says the board. So to me, that means I have to do it. And unfortunately, due to the Brown Act, we have to do it in a public meeting. So if we have to do 2 or 3 meetings to get through it, I unfortunately, I feel that that's what we're required to do. It's a little bit strange to me because usually, we are at a higher level, right? We talk about math standards, but we don't delve into, okay, what is your math textbook? We do approve textbooks and stuff, but we don't usually talk about, okay, this textbook has X, Y, and Z and that kind of thing. But this is what this bill requires.
But we can
So
bring that up, though. If we want to bring up something about a math curriculum, we can.
We can.
We
but
can.
we
So
don't
I'm not saying that
usually-
it can be
we don't
done. It can be
usually
done. We don't
bring-
usually do it.
We don't usually.
But it
bring
can be. If
math
somebody
teacher
has,
in.
hey, we have, hey, you know, I think algebra. Singapore math.
That's true, but
Yeah,
then we
but,
would be reviewing the general kind of curriculum of Singapore math, we wouldn't be looking at lesson plans.
I didn't mean to go off, but yeah,
Yeah,
Is
so,
there a
I mean, I
request
think
for
it's
a
an
study
unusual.
session?
I think that we need.
Yeah.
It's like on the agenda
I think
item.
we need at least one, if not more than one more study session and or longer ones.
so
I mean, I think
there's,
we're gonna need several more hours on this.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
which
let's start
is your way
modestly.
to do it?
yeah,
Let's agree on at least one more study session.
Yeah,
decide on that for the next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's give the community time to look at the materials, because I would appreciate a lot more time than I had. And let's make it say, we have a meeting on May 8th. Is that right? Monday, May 8th?
Yes.
Right. So,
We have one in April 20 something.
Yeah,
well, we'll do our regular board meeting in April,
Right.
and then we'll have a study session on May 8th.
okay,
Is there?
and then, my question is a teacher question, is can they release all of the units? Because I think if we can get through all of the units, that would be, I mean, because what happens is every time we, bring this subject up is I don't mind hearing from the same people, but, I think we're not really getting into the meat of the meat of what we want to talk about. We didn't have time to do that, so I think trying to cover all the units in one session, I hope would have for public comment, also allow us to comment also. And then if we need to have,
Tina, I'm afraid we're not going to get all the units. 6 and
Okay.
7, as I understand, are not even written.
Well,
Okay.
6 should darn will be written by then.
yeah,
I mean,
by the 8th, they're teaching it.
I think
What?
one comment, when we were asking questions, they kept alluding to what they were gonna cover next. Some of our questions were aligned with what they were gonna cover that either we didn't get to or was rushed. So from like a process standpoint, I think if we're gonna do another study session, it'd be great to kind of get through the overviews and then dig into where we have questions, where we have received communication comments that we really want to dig into, and even specific documents if it
Well,
needs
I
to be
think
that
we have to
granular.
start with what we didn't do today, and that was, we didn't look deeply in units 1 through 3. So make sure we put that behind us as the first item in the study. Then look at 4 and 5, which people will have had a chance to review, and we can hear about what's happening with those.
yeah, 6 by then for sure.
I have a process suggestion. I agree that I think the idea of listening to what they have, because in their chunks of units. But for large documents such as an LCAP that sometimes has 300 pages that we're supposed to go through. What typically would happen is that it would be put out as many units, whether it's 1 through 7 or 1 through 5. It would be put out to the board, also to the community. They can look at it, and then they have a comment period. So they can then write, I don't like lesson 3, section 4. It talks about power oppression. And then we can kind of see, okay, a lot of people said that. But really, that's their moment. It's kind of like a first reading. They can go through and they can look at anything, and then we can take those for feedback. It doesn't mean we're necessarily agreeing or even taking it on, but it's a way to collect it. So we have, people can put that, send it in as comments, and then also the board could have it. So you would have the units to review, one solid group. I agree, May 8th makes a lot more sense, because really we only have a week and a half before we start submitting our other documents. So it gives time for the group to work on 6 and 7, and then also put that document out. I think it's a way to scrutinize it. This is a course that will be highly scrutinized, so we might as well put it out transparently, collect that information, and really just talk about it, as opposed to we have been hearing the same comments. I've heard them, and I haven't heard too many different comments, but capitalism, those different things have come up. And then in the study session, we would have a collection of the comments to look at as a frame of reference. We could listen to the teachers, go through their thinking behind it, because how they present it, it's so nuanced and it's engaged in it's surrounded by context. If you're just reading it, you're not really getting the inflection, the message, how it's being done in each different class. So I would recommend is this board item is looking at future board items, looking at another study session because we didn't complete it, and then somehow facilitating. I'm just right now speaking off the top of my head, but this has been very successful with LCAP, where you open it up, you collect comments, they have to cite what their comment is referring to, and then we collect that. The board reviews the comments, the staff reviews the comments, and then we move on from that.
Well, it's just one big public document. Anybody can review the comment.
Well, exactly, just like an LCAP.
Yeah,
Or budget. Same
Except
process
for
for the
in
budget.
writing. Your comment period is in
It
writing.
is in writing.
And I think that's good too, because
I'm
then,
suggesting we mirror the budget.
Yeah.
LCAP process.
that's good, because then we can go through them and sort them.
So I think what we have to do, we go this route. We have to publicize it very quickly, and we have to have the units up there where anybody can download them and look at them. We can't have this public records request thing because it takes forever.
Well, we've had multiple requests in multiple avenues, so this would be a good way for us to have the same page. And at
Everything
risk of
up
violating the Brown Act, as we're talking about future agenda items, just a suggestion for a future agenda.
Well, so I agree with what you're saying, and I also, to echo Anthony's comment, I think that it's a course is not just like units, it is an entire course. And by not seeing the entire course, we're actually not getting the whole. It's a course of nuance and complexity, and it builds upon, each unit builds upon the other. That was very clear. Scaffolding. So by only seeing the first 3 units, I feel we are, especially since they're dealing with freshmen, we are dealing with kind of their initial scaffolding, and we're not seeing the end where, I know that they review a judicial case. So, they clearly at that point have quite a degree of sophistication in analyzing documents. So I feel that is part of the problem, is without that nuance and complexity, it's hard to really understand the course. If you just look at it simplistically, then you're not really that's what the course is about. That is what, this is not, I don't think it's violating the Brown Act, because it's what they presented like numerous times to the board. So I just want to echo that.
I would just maybe wrap it up by also saying that then we're engaging with different groups as partners in helping us make it better, as opposed to when there are comments and there are people sitting there feeling like I wrote this and it's just less, it's just more aligned where we're all working together simultaneously to make it better, or to just share feedback, as opposed to kind of coming up and being surprised with what the comments might be. And, although I thought it was very respectful today.
Yeah, but I do think you have a good point, and that is people who have invested a lot in writing it tend to react defensively when there's
Yes.
criticism.
Well,
Even if it's a well-intended and thoughtful criticism, there still is that sense of ownership and goes with it. And if we can find a way to avoid that, that's good. But Theta, I don't know how we're ever going to get the complete course in defense of all the units, because
Well, that's Nelly's job, right?
I do, you know, first year it's very common. Teachers are recreating, and if something doesn't work, they're working on it that night to make it better for the next day. Every class is different. You're adjusting. You should be adjusting to the students in your room, which is an ongoing process, as mentioned today. Your second period might be different than your sixth. Level, everything. So they might even be at different paces. I mean, so it's just really this nuanced dance. It's a skill.
I mean, really.
I can talk to the teachers, but I want to note that a lot of classes have a textbook. And so the teacher will
Much
say,
easier.
turn to page 24 through 38 and take notes. And then I'm going to lecture from the notes. And so there's all these supplemental materials that are already there for the teacher to just rely on and utilize. The level of sophistication that these teachers have put into the daily assignments day in and day out are created from scratch and takes hours of research, looking at literature and then chunking the literature so that it's, you know, it's a 90-page document that's drawn down to 2 pages, and the videos that are embedded and the critical questions. And so just to note that, you know, the amount of time I think is probably more than any other class because of the nature of A, the course, and B, having to create everything from scratch. But I will talk with the teachers and see if we can get one to butt for sure.
They've already, and that's such a good point. You feel like you can sell this material, not that we would. I mean, usually you get the textbook and then you get this, you know, giant box of materials, online supports, online text. So it is a different.
So,
I read about 4 and 5 already.
so I
We
think,
have released. one.
Yeah, we're just 6 and 7.
It's 6
We just
and
haven't
7.
framed them.
Four and 5 are done.
I think Nelly, you really sold me on this idea of having the whole thing. I really, and especially also that, you know, the fact that they put so much work into it, I don't want to rush them. So, I mean, maybe we need to circle back and find out a date. Because I don't want to find, you know, I don't want them to be like, oh my God, we have this stuff into the board.
They're finishing up the year.
It should be that they're doing it for the class and then board reviews it. That is the way it's, as the law is written, is my understanding, is they write the curriculum and then read it.
That's what we're asking for, right? That's what we're asking.
Yeah.
We're asking for
So-
material. for that
So
class.
if May 8th is not reasonable to me, it's like, well, let's push it out to a date that's works for the teachers, so that they're writing a curriculum for the student, which is what they should be doing.
So it makes sense to go back, speak to the teachers who are writing this. But in general, I'm hearing there is a desire for another study session
Well,
and a comment period.
well, so here's what we have. We have units 1 through 5. If we do another study session on May 8th, we'll focus on units 1 through 5. Then we still have the rest of May plus June. School is out in the first week of June. That means 6 and 7 are complete. They have to be, whatever is there is there. Then in late June, we have another meeting. People will be going on vacation, but they will have the opportunity, it'll be posted the way Nellie says, just like units 1 through 5 will be posted, we'll have the comments and all the writing stuff, and whatever we collect for units 6 and 7, that's what we'll deal with in June.
So are we going to collect the comments before our May meeting on 1 through 5?
I don't think we know yet. I would want to speak to the teachers about a timeline.
I think the comments are a good idea, and I think another study session is a good idea. I just want to know the order and what's included in each section.
Yeah, I think from a process standpoint, I think it's good to just release the whole class. It is a whole class.
As much
We're
as-
not actually reviewing units, we're reviewing.
I guess let me just,
Yeah.
are you, okay, so for the study session, Do you not, I guess, do you not want to have a study session unless we have all the material? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that was part
1
of
through
the problem.
7.
1 through 7. So so no study session unless we have all 1 through 7.
Right, because I think as Esme was saying, they were saying, well, that's covered in a future unit and I think part of the issue too is there is scaffolding. And so it's gonna get more nuanced and more complicated as the units progress. And I think we'll see that, but I think.
Right, so I guess.
So I think we need to see the whole thing to really see the way the course. I mean, really, the outcome of the course, right, is to tackle these complicated, nuanced subjects. But that's gonna require time. On the teacher's part, so I think. I really think it like the LCAT, you should just look at part of it, you could just say, well, I don't like this and that, but it's all connected.
Although I think from a practical point of view, if we really do, and I think we're pretty solid, we already voted this way, that we're gonna start the next class in the fall, we're going to have to do things in a little bit of a section way, because I just don't think it's practical that we just don't do anything until the end of June. We haven't been in July, and we already start school in August, and we won't have it approved yet.
Well, could we?
I would say many people will be gone after graduation.
Sure.
Yeah, but I
And
mean,
if I could
could we talk to the teachers and find out what a date is before we make a decision? Because I feel like the end of June was proposed, but the teachers haven't come back to us and told us when they'll have 6 and 7. And to me, that's a crucial piece of data that I would like to know before I decide, whether or not we need to have a session.
Well, I agree with Catherine that there is something to be gained by seeing the partial view of what we have. Even if you're worried about scaffolding, the teachers are worried about different things. So we're going to see it as the teachers have it right now, as they enter units 6 and 7. And they're running units in 6 and 7. And so if we have questions about where is this going, how is it become more sophisticated, they will answer what they are planning to do with respect to them.
Yeah. And I'd like to see.
That is information. It may not be perfect information, but it is information that we can go on. And we will still have an opportunity to look later at 6 and 7. Maybe we'll even see 6.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We might see 6, and even if we don't see all of 6, I would rather have a preview of 6, if you will. A prelim with the 1 through 5. So then I have as much, I have completed 1 through 5, and I have a preview of 6 at least. And then that gets me as far as I can get by the beginning to middle of May, and then we can finish up hopefully by mid-June at the latest.
And I would assume 23, 24. We want to say, because we heard there's adjusting, there's changing. That could be an overview of the 7 units in context A to Z, just to kind of see where they adjusted as well, like a yearly check-in is what, short, not all the lessons, but. So what I'm hearing is we can go back to the teachers to discuss timeline. There's a desire to have another study session, not on April 24th, because that's too soon. But to look at, I still hear the difference between whether we're looking at 4 and 5 or 1 through 5.
1 through 5, because as far as I'm concerned, 1 through 3 haven't been discussed thoroughly.
And then we can certainly also get back to board on if we send out 1 through 5, we have it in a public place. And I know Ed Services is already printing it to have it available hard copy as well. And online, that then we can make some kind of way to collect comments, much as we would for a large document.
So.
Just to confirm, April 24th is too soon to do it. It is.
I believe so.
So
I know I'll be out of town on May 8th.
No.
So.
Okay,
No,
so,
no, I can't be ready.
Comment.
I think it has to be May 8th at the earliest.
I think if we're collecting comments,
Right.
it's helpful to have that, so we can talk about the time.
So I'm not sure why we're going back from the original, just from a process standpoint. I'm trying to understand. Are we going back from the original, reviewing, because originally you talked about reviewing the full course, like an LCAP. Is that because of the teachers? If so, I still would like to hear. I mean, Terry, you contact the teacher, but again, I don't want to put pressure on anybody. Just like to know a realistic date, so that to me, that date is important. If it's like June 20th, okay, I agree with you, but if it's like, another week or something like that, I'm fine. I think we would get more value out of reviewing the whole thing and having people comment on the whole thing and understanding it as an entire course, because that's how it's taught, and it's not taught by units.
Why don't we go back and answer that question?
Yeah, so to me, that's really important.
Is there a time that 6 and 7 could be reviewed in May, early June?
Just a prelim.
We can talk about a study session, and then we can also share the plan for open comments. And then the 24th, once again, I believe I'm hearing, because of the comment part of this, we want to make sure we have as much out. We have 1 through 5. We want to make it clear and communicated. Ideally, if then we can have the 6, 7 and get comments on that and have something after that. Depends on when that would be ideal. But I do know the teachers are working in the summer, refining and continuing to work. But we'll have to check in with them on how much would be complete.
And I also want to say that I think the 3-minute comment, which is reasonable for a board meeting, does not really allow someone who really has some in-depth comments to really. I mean, I was looking at the comments I had, and they certainly would have fit into 3 minutes. Because I had comments on each unit. So I think presenting it that way as a more, I think, fair way to present. So you're not limited. I mean, you can still come up and talk for 3 minutes, but I think you'll get more nuanced and complex comments based on what's actually there, because they're going to have to go and click on a link and look at the actual documents and not what someone has said are the documents.
I think it helps us focus on, do we want to change this? Is this an improvement or is it not? And it's specific, as opposed to, do you support it or not? Because we've already agreed how we're moving forward with it. So this then helps us consider points.
Okay. So what are you going to do?
We are going to go back to, well, first we're going to collect all of the units we have, make sure we have one set common set of units, lessons, etc. Then really share with the teachers this discussion around a future board item. And then we'd like to see a future study session, get a sense of what that timeline would be, and then also share the process about opening up for comments. In addition to that, we're going to work, discuss on who would be the point person to collect the comments, to put them in one place, to make sure we have them available, and similar to the LCAP LC budget process, and then come back to the board with dates and also units.
Okay, and so timeline, when can we have the first 5 units posted for people to download and comment, set up this like that?
I will know better tomorrow, but ideally as soon as possible.
Right.
We have the 5 units already done.
Right.
It really is setting up, we have a comment system on our website for lights. We can just shift it to this, kind of similar to collect, or just a comment place for different subjects. It's really finding the person who, you know, asked me to find who's the best person to collect it. You know, it will take some clerical support.
Okay.
But the posting is relatively easy. The comment is already created. So the initial,
So anybody who comments will be able to see everyone else's comment. Even if they don't
I don't
comment,
know.
just want to look.
I would like to say yes, but I'm just kind of worried whenever you put.
That's not the way.
Yeah, I don't like that idea at all.
No,
Really, it was collected.
yeah, it was collected. It just
internal,
came into us.
because there was quite a,
There's no, yeah, people didn't see other people's
You
comments.
could create a Google form with a couple specific prompts and then it goes to one spreadsheet to easy organize, but it doesn't get shared with the public to see. What it is.
yeah, I would think that we would limit it, but there would be a point where it would be a public file. But,
And so once it's a public document, everybody gets to see everybody's comments anyway.
right.
But not necessarily who said that.
No, not necessarily who said what. That's what.
Are we still on that agenda item? Because I have another suggestion for board meeting. I want to know when we're going to do the final approval of the safety plans.
I don't think we're done with this.
So, tells as far as what it would look like, the answer to your question is. I don't have an answer as to how soon, but we all have an interest in doing it as soon as possible.
Right.
You know, the specifics of it, I'm honestly just. But I'm suggesting that we follow as closely as possible the tried and true budget approval, LCAP.
On the budget approval and LCAP approval, people can see each other's comments.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's- I don't
Yes.
see why we want to hide that and then disclose it at the last minute.
I think only redact names or anything that could.
Yeah, I mean, the names you could.
Yeah. Yeah, I just hesitated to answer that because I was trying to think it through.
This is such a more controversial item than those things.
Right, I guess the only thing is having people set each other off. And therefore it be.
So if you're doing an environmental impact report, you see everybody else's comments.
Okay,
If it sets you off, so what?
well, it's just, this is a lot more controversial, that's all. You know,
I mean-
people, but you know.
Again, they're going to see
I
all
will
the
read
comments.
them,
anyway.
I will read them anyway, so I'll read them.
I think we've heard them publicly.
Yeah.
But.
Well, I think people writing online, if they think they'll be anonymous, can actually be a lot.
I think people are going to be a lot more circumspect because they don't know that we're going to redact their names.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that you can just write anonymously.
Okay.
I would say that we will not share the names.
I don't think, I mean, these people don't look like rabble rousers or violence.
I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about, you know, we received a lot of emails saying the same thing and they were, I mean, to me, since being, I mean, I guess I can't discuss it because we can't, it gets into this topic, but to me, some of the things were, you know, they could, it sort of feeds on itself. That's all I'm saying without, because I don't feel comfortable under the Brown Act since we're not
I think
actually
it's a
discussing the topic.
I mean, to me, if I saw somebody had written a comment that I was thinking of writing, I say, oh, good, he saved me the trouble, I can go on.
And so in terms of timeline, the earliest study session will be May 8th.
For 1 through 5.
For 1 through 5, maybe 6 and 7 if there's somehow we get it. If not, yeah, and then we'll decide on that study session whether we want another one or when.
That's a good process, but.
I just want to make sure I got that straight.
But really, anything after June 6th or so, we risk losing presenters.
Yep.
Understood. Okay.
So that's a good future board item.
Well, so now the other future board item is we did not do our final approval of the safety plans. When are we gonna agendize that?
We're looking to see that on the, next meeting, April 24th.
Also, for, Catherine asked for this before, but we got forgotten again as future board items. Because I know I've asked for things, I'm pretty sure they're still in the hopper, but like, I don't wanna ask for something I already asked. So I'm not gonna, I'm not
Dr.
gonna ask
Meyer
for
puts
anything.
them.
I put it on the weekly,
in weekly, so you can see. if it's
Oh,
still there.
right, sorry,
and if it's not on there, it's not in the hopper.
okay,
And I guess the hopper.
it is
So-
overflowing, so I think I'm.
Because the same people are doing the same.
Well, I think I read the weekly update, so it's just been a long night, so I forgot.
Okay, but let me know if it's not there. What you.
I think it's fine, because I
Okay.
did read the weekly update and I wasn't like, oh. So, it's just been a long night, so I just forgot that that's where it was.
Okay. So are we done? Communications correspondence, we don't have anything.
None at this time.
Date, time and place of next meeting, that is April 24th. Up to adjournment.
And 24.
I move that we adjourn.
I second.
Moved by Sanjay, seconded by Catherine, that we adjourn. Student board members, Ava,
I approve.
good, thank you. All in favor? Aye, we adjourn, motion carries 5-0.
You all.